Good evening. My, have things sure slid since we last spoke. In so many different ways, on so many different fronts. And I think it's important, and I've said this very recently, I think it's very important that we stay laser focused. Because if we don't, we're going to be in trouble in a hurry. We've got a whole lot going on right now. A lot. But we can't take our eye off that ball. Not for a second. So I wanted to make sure to start out with that, because I think it's imperative that we don't take our eye off that ball. Because there are certain things that are happening, certain things being put in place that, yeah, I think this is the push, without a doubt. So I spoke maybe a week or so, maybe week and a half tops ago, about how I thought at that particular time that we were experiencing the calm before the storm, and that we were getting ready to enter the storm, and that we better enjoy that calm, because once we enter this storm, it's going to be a long time before we get calm again. I think we're there. Shalom, Laura. And I don't know if you're here, Jason. I saw you left that at 4:22. We will be discussing that as well. I think that calm has ended. I think that we're entering the storm, and I hope that there's some calm in our near future and in our future, but I'm not so sure, because again, there's so many things going on, and what happens more often than not, when so many things are going on, that's when government starts ramming things through. And it looks like they're getting ready to start ramming. There is two videos that I want to bring up at the very beginning of tonight's show, because I think it is imperative that you see them both. One of them is from a channel that you all should probably well know and hopefully love. And let me real quick bring up the browser view. This is the video and the channel. I shared it out on Twitter and Facebook earlier, both on Facebook Watchman News and my personal page. It's the Patriot Nurse, and it's titled Real Straight Talk. The Feds label us as terrorists while fleeing Afghanistan. Now, she had made a comment, meaning Patriot Nurse, on Facebook, saying something about there being issues with sharing her video, and so I don't know what's going on with that, but there you go. I'm sharing it in a way that I know it will get out there. Maybe not to millions, but it'll get out there. So please, if you watch the video, if anything strikes you in the video that you feel compelled, please share, because I think, man, this, yeah, talk about a real straight talk. And yeah, I could not put it remotely any better than what she did. So, again, please. The other video, and pardon me, but I have, you can probably see the name of it. But yeah, there you go. Just go with looking at the name. That way I don't say it. I don't want to necessarily offend people, although I don't know why I should care. So anyway, I'm gonna say it. Douchebag's Brother Dick is the name of the channel, and he's somebody that I've been a subscriber to for quite some time. Not this channel, but their other channel. And there is, you will learn more about being prepared. And I mean, he's got a bunch of short clips here, and you will learn a lot. Even in the short clips, you will learn a lot. Well, he's got a video he put out today called the Minuteman Loadout. And it has been a really long time since I've ever picked up anything on a bug out bag video. I picked up a couple things on his video. Excellent, excellent video. So, again, I know I've been doing this for over a decade. I've seen a few bug out bag videos in my day. And honestly, this tops them all. It really, truly does. And the channel's a lot of fun. So, I think it's important you check it out as well. Let me bring back up the studio view here. Gosh, I don't even know where to start, right? Don't even know where to start. So, we've got the DOJ. I think it was the DOJ. Smack me if I'm wrong. That's been plastering, well, the media has been plastering an image up, I guess, on news pretty nonstop from my understanding. And it's a warning. And it's a warning about what's to come. And or what they suspect, what they're warning they expect to come. And they're saying that there could be issues perpetrated by people that are against this vaccine or against mandates, or I forget how the exact terminology, I could pull it up, but I'm sure you've all seen it a dozen times by now. And, you know, that, and what was the other thing, the election thing, I guess, or whatever. And then they, you know, they said to watch out for around the anniversary of September 11th. And, you know, it's the same old as what was going on when, in regards to the Capitol building and how they kept trying to stir the fear up. I really think it's largely the same thing. Part of it's a psychological operation to get individuals in a mindset against other individuals. And what they are attempting to do, and already have started, I shared out an image on YouTube, actually, in the YouTube post thingy. I don't do those often, but it was a picture from Facebook, I guess, a warning that Facebook is putting out to certain individuals now, more or less stating that, I can bring this up. Hang on, let me find it. Hang on. Might be easier for me to bring it up on Facebook. There we go. Let me bring it back over to the browser. There you go. And it says, are you concerned that someone you know is becoming too prepared? We care about, you got to throw that little flair in there. We care about preventing extremism on Facebook. Others in your situation have received confidential report. And it's important you say it that way because, you know, this is ridiculous. But it's something we need to be concerned with because this is kind of going above and beyond, in my opinion. This ain't about extremism, folks. This is just trying to find out about people that are getting prepared, right? Because they can't bring you to your knees if you're not hungry. Let me repeat that. They can't bring you to your knees if you're not hungry. Well, there's other needs you might have. Surely. You could have medical needs. You could have all kinds of needs that could easily bring you to your knees. But for the general population, that seems to be the main defining factor. So they want to know who's got food and who doesn't. And the best way they can do that, especially in such a divided nation like today, just ask people to tell on one another. And if that ain't enough, they'll start incentivizing it. You can count on that coming. You can count on that coming. Man, they are following Hitler's playbook. They are following his playbook. I mean, it's eerie. And you know, I don't know what's more eerie. The fact that they're following his playbook and I'm seeing it happen right before my eyes, or the fact that the people are falling for it again. That is what really blows my mind, is that the people are actually falling for it. That's scary. So, wow. I mentioned the DOJ thing. Gentleman, very first comment, Jason Miller had said they are already posting jobs for internment resettlement camp officers. Look for yourself. Thank you. So I don't need to. I've actually saw that. I don't know how many times now. Quite a few. Normally, and this isn't a job that hasn't been posted about before, because it absolutely has been posting about it before. And, you know, I normally wouldn't be too concerned with it, but this is a little bit different circumstances. And I really do believe that they're going to be bringing those facilities into action real quick. Really quick. And so I would urge people to kind of keep an eye on that situation. I would have to bring it up myself to see what all information they put there. I don't know if they list how many openings there are available. I don't know if they keep that updated, or probably not. But I would just keep an eye on it. You know, one thing is whether it stays posted. Okay, if it stays posted, then they're trying to build a lot of people. So, like I say, it's not the first time that that's popped up, but we've never ever had another time with these particular circumstances either. So that's what concerns me about it now, more so over the other times. Because clearly, there's a lot of moves being made. Speaking of moves being made, that leads me to the next thing that I want to discuss about this cluster. And that is that it's been talked about now about possibly closing state borders. Now, folks, I just did a show. I can't remember what I called it. Give me a moment here, and I will try to see. I think it's this one here. What's it called? Let's see. It was on the 9th. And it's food shortages, vax mandates, mass division seems orchestrated. I did a video, did a show on the 9th. If you haven't saw that, I cover a lot of stuff in that about different things that I see coming together. And this is a perfect orchestration of that I was talking about how the Viper teams, I brought up the Viper teams. If you want to Google that, no E, it's VIPR, no E, and you will bring up a ton of information about that. I mentioned Operation Mountain Guardian, and full transparency, when you type that in Google, you're going to bring up a bunch of Alex Jones links. That's fine. Follow them. That's fine, because you will see footage from actual local news stations talking about it. So it's not some crazy gay frog conspiracy. It really happened. Alex covers a lot of factual stuff. A lot. But it's the little bit of his way, way, way out there stuff that unfortunately does a lot of discrediting for him. But, and his, you know, I gotta say it, boner pills. But anyway, other than that, Operation Mountain Guardian is something that folks need to be aware of, especially folks with children in school, public school. I really do think that we are coming to a time that this is all culminating. And Jade Helm was another thing that I brought up. Don't want to miss that. All these things, I think, are coming together. The fusion centers, all of it. And then there was word that came about this weekend that, I forget where I saw it, but I saw it this past weekend, that China has a dossier on every single American. And I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. You probably need to be a little concerned about that. With that information, okay, if they were ever to be in a theater of combat here, automatically from the get-go, they would know where their bigger concerns lie. And then from there, any stragglers that they hadn't drawn in yet, all they got to do is pull up their dossier. They'll figure out, or likely figure out, where they went. Unless you happen to be like one of us. But most people aren't. Most people, they're just not. And I don't know that I'm real concerned with an imminent invasion of China. And as I said at the very beginning of the show, it's very important that we don't take our eye off the ball. So that kind of stuff we need to tuck in the back of the brain, but let's not take our eye off the ball. And other events that are going on, non-domestic related, we apparently have Saigon 1975 happening all over again. I believe 1975. If I'm wrong, someone please correct me. Happening all over again right now in Afghanistan. I would ask for prayer for a gentleman, and I did have to forget his name, not on purpose, mind you. And let me bring this over. I would like to ask for prayer for this gentleman. Because, hey, you know, it sounds like he's a stand-up guy, just done something really stupid, and he could use your prayers. As the headline says, Lord Miles of Afghanistan, British student gets stuck in Taliban-controlled Kabul, live feeds his adventure in weird country. And so what happened was this young adventurist, he thought it would be cool if he real quick flew to Kabul and just kind of hung out for a little bit and then flew back home, right? And just kind of like live streamed his adventure. And he mentioned something about like a charity thing, and I really don't know all the details on that, but nonetheless, he's over there, and the Taliban started encroaching on Kabul a lot sooner than anybody realized was going to happen, and so now he's having a hell of a time getting out of there. So again, you know, just because he did a very foolish thing doesn't mean he deserves that fate. So I would appreciate, and I'm sure he would appreciate, your prayer. He is also a very spiritual-minded person. Now, he's not wearing that because that's what he normally wears. He wore that, I believe, to get to the airport, you know, in disguise, essentially. I forget what it said. He had to walk an hour or something like that to the airport. Could you even imagine? Man. So, yeah, I mean, and the guy seems like he's got real good spirits about him, and he's trying to make the best of it, and, you know, he's worried. I think he's worried, he's concerned, but at the same time, he is spiritual to the point that he understands that if that's where he goes, then that was the Father's will. So that man deserves some prayer, I think. So more on the subject of what's going on over there. That whole thing, I mean, it's not just an exit for me. It's 20 years for me. I was screaming BS before we invaded. And I think it's an incredible kick to the gut to a lot of veterans and their families to go and put all that blood, sweat, tears, lives and every bit of what they did has been undone in no time at all. So if you know a vet, just reach out, see what's up, make sure they're all right. Because I know there's probably a lot of vets that aren't real pleased with what's going down or how it's going down. So reach out, please. I don't know what to say about that situation because my feelings are we should have never been there. We should have learned lessons from many other countries that not only failed in their mission to fix it there, but wound up literally losing their nations as a result. The USSR comes to mind. Because in effect, that really is what weakened the USSR to a point to where they had to split up. And I've often asked myself, was the United States set up for the same fate? I was asking that first and second year in. Because your number one advantage in theater of combat is knowing your terrain. You know your terrain, you know your environment. You got the upper hand over anybody invading. That being said, there's a lot of technology today, and there's a lot of ease of ability to be able to go and research targets heavily. So, I'm just saying, you might not want to pick that bell tower. I hope that we get everybody out. I don't know if everybody's out over there. I know they're working on it. Last I knew, I don't believe everybody was out. They were really having a hard time managing getting everybody out of there. I don't know all the details. I had heard that the U.S. military had secured the airport, but somebody mentioned something about a possible breach. It doesn't sound like the Taliban is going to let up. The last time that people of another administration was involved in this type of stuff, it led to Benghazi. So that's why I'm a bit concerned. Again, I don't know who's still there, who's not. I don't know what the situation is there, and I'm sure it's very fluid. We got a lot going on. A lot of different directions. And make sure you don't, you need to stay focused, but at the same time, don't let yourself get blindsided either. So keep the radar open for everything else, but stay focused on this mandate thing, because I think they're going to ram it through like a door breacher. I really do think so. I don't think it's going to be a light, soft. I really don't. I initially thought that, and I mean, it already has started in a soft form, but a lot of companies and stuff like that are waiting for this full authorization, and then once that comes through, then they're going to ram the mandates through, and they're doing it through private industry, which I figured they would do. They're going to try to go that route first. And again, they're waiting for that full approval. When you see that, you're going to see private industry go nuts. Now, I've seen a number of different bands that are now starting to tour again. And not just bands, but also venues that are popping up and talking about the, you got to have a proof of vaccine or a negative test or yada, yada, yada in order to go into the venue. And it seems like they're all falling in line. Now, the interesting thing is everybody involved that I have seen so far are affiliated with Ticketmaster. So keep that in mind. It may not even be the individual venues. It might not even be the individual vans. It might be Ticketmaster. And Ticketmaster passing the buck and saying, yeah, if you don't do this, if you don't mandate this for your personal property, personal business, private business, then we won't, you're not going to get tickets from Ticketmaster if they don't give you tickets, right? So that may be, in effect, what is going on there. I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. Because anybody willing to give in to the beast, am I supposed to care? If I am, I'm sorry. Because I don't. I hope these businesses go under. Because I think what they're doing is absolutely wrong. Folks, there is right and there is wrong. You don't need a political party for it. You don't need a religious belief for it. You don't need a nationality for it, a skin tone. There is right and wrong. Plain and simple. We don't need to overcomplicate our lives with all kinds of crap. There is right and wrong. Try to do right, try not to do wrong. Couldn't be any more simple rules of life. I think humanity, if you want to call it that, wants to way overcomplicate how easy life can be. And life's not always easy, obviously, but it can be a lot easier. You know? One thing if we had to fight life, but when we have to fight all kinds of unnecessary bullshit on top of it, it makes, I don't know. Right now, like I said, I think it's imperative we stay focused. Because I think that things are going to slide very quickly. I mentioned the Viper teams. I don't know how active they stayed or anything like that, but I know that they were doing a whole lot of training in places like Tennessee, states like Tennessee, did a whole lot of training, and I don't know how active they had remained from then until now. And when I'm talking about this, wow, I think I want to say 10 years ago or something is when I initially was following what was going on with the Viper teams. And essentially, I think they were rolled out as to be more benign. Anything from like portable weigh scales to, portable border checkpoint kind of things to other types of checkpoints that they feel they may need. That is basically what they focused on, was basically blocking the highways and making you go through a checkpoint. That is essentially what their focus is, whatever function that checkpoint has. And if they are looking at closing the state borders, which it seems like somebody said a long time ago that you would expect that. You should expect that. Way before this COVID stuff was even on the radar. I said that was one of the things that they were preparing for because of these Viper teams. Not only that, but the Real ID Act. There are so many things that plays into this. I don't know if this whole COVID thing was an accident, if it was on purpose. I have no idea. What I can tell you is, even if it wasn't on purpose, they are utilizing the moment to pull all this stuff together and push forward with their agenda. And I think they're running out of time. I think they've been running out of time. I think climate and cycles, and when I say climate, I don't mean Al Gore crap. I'm talking more like solar cycle stuff, I think they're aware of this stuff. I know they're aware of this stuff. And I think that they have an agenda that they want to fulfill before it reaches a certain point. Because it's going to get worse. It's going to get much, much worse as far as weather and stuff like that. I mean, we're still at the tip of the iceberg of it. So I think that they're pushing as hard as they can. For one, I don't think the United States is as far along as what they intended. I think long before now they wanted to be rid of the Second Amendment, well, our Constitution in its entirety. I think that the United States is really lagging behind their initial plans. Okay, Agenda 21, what year is it? They don't have all that put into place, not even remotely. If you read Agenda 21 and you see how it's outlined, they don't even remotely. I mean, they've got a good start. They've got a really good start, and they've got a lot of things kind of built, but not all in place, okay? But they're close. All they need is a quick, abrupt change in control. That's all they need. And they can make the rest of the stuff fall right in. Now, not coincidentally enough, there's Agenda 2030. And so not only did they adapt some and build some, but they also extended their timeline. So if you were amused with what was in Agenda 21, remember, most of all of that's coming. It didn't go anywhere. But there were some things adapted, there were some things added to, and all that with Agenda 2030. And so they're pushing for that now. That's 9 years. So everything you recall from before, plus more, they plan to do within the next 9 years. And I would say that they can probably do it in half at this rate. At this rate. two most important things you can do, and I got to get to headlines. Two most important things you can do. Prepare. I know we're a broken record with that. And talk to the people that matter most. Who are those again? I'm going to keep going over this stuff. Talk to the people that matter most. The people that matter most are the people that are within walking distance of you. So everybody that you know, friends, like-minded individuals, it doesn't even matter, enemies, doesn't matter. Talk to the people that matter most, the people within walking distance. That's very important. Let me go ahead and hop on over to headlines and get those out of the way, because obviously we've got a ton of them since we're going back to Friday. And you'll get to see how all this unfolded. So, like I say, a big slide, and I would expect that it's going to continue to slide. We'll see. I think we're going to learn a lot this week. Ambulance shortage in St. Louis City causing concern for EMS workers. It's life or death. And of course, this is Friday's news that I had put out. And I know there was another article, I believe, that they put out today updating the situation, which, of course, they're claiming is dire. And I'm not saying it's not dire. But with everything that I'm seeing on TV, how do you know? How do you know what they're being straight about and what they're not? Canada to deploy special forces to assist Afghan embassy evacuation as major cities fall under Taliban assault, says reports. Again, that's Friday. Samsung boss Lee released on parole after sentence for embezzling $7.5 million to bribe ex-president reduced. FDA greenlights COVID-19 vaccine booster shots for immunocompromised. Wow. I still don't say it right. Taliban announces total conquest of Kandahar as Afghan officials confirm fall of second largest city. And again, this is Friday. U.S. will lead global oil production boost in 2022, says the IEA. China blasts political tracing after WHO asks for more data to continue COVID-19 origins probe. Afghanistan faces civil war as rival factions Al-Qaeda seek foothold in country, UK Defense Secretary says. I don't think Al-Qaeda is going to get much of a foothold. It seems to me that the Taliban is pretty well on top of it. 777 million fully vaccinated in China, authorities say, as country records lowest rate of COVID-19 infections since July. U.S. home prices soaring amid low number of listings and robust demand. I was just talking to a gentleman that lives in Massachusetts today about this, and he's got a little bit of property, and my advice was sell. Yeah, I think he's about to. Gets offered a little more. I think he's gonna do so. I definitely, if you had properties to sell, probably a good thing to do it. If it's not like your bug out location. But yeah, I mean, and then just sit on it, and as soon as the bubble pops, if things aren't completely gone to hell, as soon as the housing bubble pops, well, pick you somewhere you want to live, and you've got probably going to have a lot left over. So, just saying, not giving it financial advice, but if I was in that position, that's what I'd be doing. Let's see. BBC correspondent Sarah Rainsford told to leave Moscow in reciprocal move protesting British sanctions against Russians, said reports. Israel extends COVID booster shot offer to over 50s and workers in certain sectors. UN calls on Afghanistan's neighbors to keep borders open, warning of impending humanitarian catastrophe. As Nord Stream 2 nears completion, Germany's Merkel to make farewell Russia and Ukraine visits next week. Will meet Putin and Zelensky. World-famous Moscow metro system begins trials of FacePay, a new cutting-edge facial recognition biometric payment technology. And I know that they've, brought that up, mentioned stuff like that here in the U.S. as well. And I would expect that real short order, you're going to see stuff like this, right? Because they're going to get it down to where they're not going to have to ask to see your pass. They're going to get it down to where it's going to be completely automated. If you show up and you don't have the golden ticket, well, off to the camp you go. Extra 200 troops will enforce Sydney lockdown amid record surge in COVID cases, says the media. French president boycotts UN conference on racism over history of anti-Semitic remarks. French anti-health pass protesters double in number in a month. At least 250,000 expected to hit streets this weekend, says the media. So on Friday's news. Utter woke insanity, social media users blast sick new Scottish rules that allow 4-year-olds to declare gender identity. 4-year-olds. Vietnam's Ho Chi Minh City extends COVID-19 restrictions as country's economic hub becomes national virus hotspot. Lithuania points fingers at Russia over multiple attempted hackings and important documents stolen from country's foreign ministry. Russians dump U.S. dollar savings in favor of euro and other foreign currencies. Denmark ditches mask mandate for public transport 2 weeks ahead of schedule. U.S. border guards catch record number of illegal migrants attempting to cross Mexico border. Taliban reportedly just 50 kilometers from Kabul as militant group takes Logar province. And remember, this is Friday's news. Thai protesters clash with police as demonstrators call for resignation of Prime Minister. Spanish police find a ton of cocaine hidden in the walls of a shipping container sent from Ecuador. Russia and China joint military exercise was complete success and demonstrated two nations' unbreakable bond, Beijing says the Beijing defense head. That's another one we might want to tuck in the back of the noggin. Could growing censorship lead to mass YouTube exodus? Glenn Greenwald and Tulsi Gabbard moved to free speech haven Rumble. So I'm not leaving YouTube. I do have a Rumble, and I was about that close to putting out a video on Rumble today. I can guarantee you, if I put out a video on Rumble, it will be unrestrained in every way imaginable. So, you guys would like to see Bear Mike, let me know. I don't know that people do. I really don't. Please, guys, let me breathe. Canadian cop accused of excessive, and I don't mean Bear Mike. None of you want to see that. I'm talking about Bear My Attitude Mike, not, yeah, nobody. Yeah. Please, guys, let me breathe. Canadian cop accused of excessive force in George Floyd-style knee-to-the-neck arrest. Let's see. Taliban captures veteran warlord Ismail Khan and claims he joined the group's ranks. Locals evacuated as wildfire ravages nature reserve near Roman suburb. Again, this is Friday's news, and unfortunately there was a very well-known pilot, plus his crew and other, I believe it was members of administration that it was described as, and we'll be getting to the headline, but they went down in an aircraft while fighting fires in Turkey. So that's certainly sad. Denmark and Norway shutter Kabul embassies. Germany cuts staffing to bare minimum as West exodus continues. Again, this is Friday's headlines. Chechnya, I don't know if that's Chechnya or if it's Chechnya, I'm not sure, to continue deporting Afghans, unlike other European nations, as crisis escalates in war-torn country. Algerian prosecutor launches investigation into mob that murdered man accused of starting deadly wildfires. Most in UK will not come to the unvaccinated professionals even if they previously used their services, says a YouGov poll. Well, consider it's a YouGov poll. It sounds like propaganda to me. Have you checked your streets lately? Death row inmate sues Texas prison demanding pastor's touch during execution by lethal injection. U.S. imposes more sanctions on crippled Cuba, this time on Interior Ministry officials and military unit. Military base in Washington, D.C. on lockdown after reports of potential armed individuals on site. Somebody left an incredible comment in the comment section. I don't know if it'll come up. I mean, I'm sure there's been 1,000,000,001, but I'm telling you, that one's probably likely going to be one of the top. Hang on. It doesn't look like there may be a ton of comments. Okay. Well, somebody had left a comment essentially saying that the United States was the only, I don't know how many comments. The United States was, that might be all of them, was the only country to where the U.S. military, whenever dealing with something like an active shooter, basically had to what's the terminology? Shelter in place while the police saved them. And the comment was just absolutely spot on and sickening, horrifying, and the whole 9 yards. So I don't know whatever honestly even came of that. I know that they changed stories a couple of times on who and what they were looking for. And I don't see that other comment, but it was definitely on point. Biden eyes tougher vaccine rules without provoking backlash. Without provoking backlash, huh? Okay. Fact-checking site Snopes admits multiple plagiarism cases by its own co-founder and CEO. What was that? Was it her? Oh, okay. Heard a weird noise. I'm really not sure what the hell she did. Meaning blue. Let's see. Bolivian wildfires destroyed 749,000 hectares of land in 2021, an NGO says, as border region declares red alert over blazes. You have a sip of tea. France's top court upholds constitutionality of controversial anti-separatism law aimed at tackling Islamists. We're going to lose at the border, Homeland Security chief says in leaked audio. I wonder if that could have anything to do with a current individual in the administration having the big old come on up attitude. Nah. You know, I actually think that Trump had that border pretty well under control. I mean, much further along than what it had been. That's another thing, too. That since the administration took office, lost everything that was gained and more. Amazon's criminal decision to move Lord of the Rings filming from New Zealand to UK sparks epic debate over real Middle Earth. U.S. Embassy in Afghanistan tells staff to destroy sensitive documents and computers, state-backed media reports. And I'm sure that was true. Again, this is Friday's headlines. As reinstatement day trends, Twitter rushes to inform its users, that Trump cannot be reinstated. Folks, there is no legal path. We need to quit. We need to quit delegating the future of our country to propagandists, right? Because essentially that's what this stuff is. It's propaganda, it's psyops, and by feeding into it, we, in effect, do nothing. We sit on our hands. Why? Because, well, somebody's going to do it for us. They said so. And nothing happens. Folks, this has been going on for over 4 years now. The same crap from the same quote-unquote sources. At any time are we ever going to say, you know what? I don't know about this. Because I was there back when he said the word DEFCON. UK police watchdog investigating cops over return of Plymouth shooter's gun and permit. Canada to make COVID-19 vaccination mandatory for government employees, air and train travelers, the government says. Yeah, speaking of me calling that out on cue, I want to say that, hell, we were living in Mount Vernon at the time. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. BBC accuses Russia of assault on media freedom after correspondence visa is denied following UK sanctions. Starliner setback, Boeing destacks spaceship from booster to solve propulsion problem, ISS launch delayed indefinitely. Again, this is Friday's headlines. Special Counsel John Durham looks to indict FBI employees, false tipsters after probing origins of Russiagate, says the media. Canada vows to resettle 20,000 Afghans, including embassy staff and aid workers, amid fears of Taliban reprisals. And again, this is all Friday news. Should be coming up close, I think, to the end of Friday here soon. Biden administration warns of threat from anti-lockdown extremists and terrorist sympathizers marking 9/11 anniversary. And that's what I was speaking about earlier. Uber drops ex-NFL player from ad campaign after he opposes school mask mandates. And normally, like I've been saying, I don't normally do sports stuff, but sometimes it does intertwine with what's going on in the news. The real news. St. Louis Sheriff's deputies fired for unauthorized moonlighting after doing security work for anti-police Democrat Cori Bush. Delta has changed everything. Oregon governor to deploy 1,500 National Guard troops to assist swamped hospitals. Japan issues highest emergency alert for over 1 million people as heavy rain like never before triggers evacuations. Outrage as New York Democrats refuse to pursue Cuomo impeachment and say Constitution does not allow for it after his resignation. Oh, we are on Saturday. The last headline with Japan started yesterday. So, Belgrade to host Serbian-Russian Economic Forum in October. Gazprom raises gas exports to Europe by 30% in 2021. Let's see. Zero emissions fable, blue hydrogen worse for the environment than natural gas, says a study. I have no idea. Never looked into it. Russia's oil machine to hit record output highs by summer 2022. Yeah, I haven't looked into it, and I never just take a headline for face value when it involves energy, especially energy technology, because there is a lot of players of the misinformation game when it comes to energy technology. A lot. Because people that have been at the tip of the top in the energy game want to stay at the tip of top of the energy game. So a lot of misinformation out there about alternative energies and all kinds of stuff. So I've been getting a ad on Facebook as of late for a little bitty battery pack. I don't know. I think it's something like 27 milliamp hour kind of. It's not a real huge, but it's using graphene battery technology. And I don't know if you may have seen the same or similar ad. Sounds interesting. I've yet to click on it. Next time I see it, I'm going to click on it. I'm kind of curious how much they're wanting for it. But that's part of the technology I'm talking about, the graphene battery technology. That would put us so far ahead of where we are right now when it comes to our energy storage capabilities. It's unreal. But there are individuals that are doing the best they can to suppress that technology because the more and more efficient our batteries get and less harmful to the environment, because you can make graphene batteries out of hemp. The further along this technology gets and the better that it gets in all ways, we're going to become less and less reliant on those other industries. So that's why they do that. They're trying to keep their job. We are afraid. Kabul residents uneasy as Taliban closes in on an Afghan capital and slam Biden for withdrawing U.S. troops. In a deleted tweet, the State Department official mourns that U.S. military won't be able to protect Afghan women. Crazy, huh? And I think it's going to be one of the headlines, but the Taliban is claiming that they're not going to harm Afghan women that want to work and whatnot. I believe the requirement is that they wear hijab. And I believe that was a headline that I put out. A stunning report from Spain claims Real Madrid are considering switch to Premier League as Battle of Presidents rage. Let's see. Afghan President Ghani dismisses speculation of resignation and mulls reintegration of military as Taliban closes on Kabul. And this was yesterday's news. I'm sure you know that this has all changed since. As Russia and Chinese troops carry out major joint exercises, U.S. efforts to break the bond between Moscow and Beijing now seem doomed. So, and yeah, I would say so. I'd say it's been that way for a little bit now. Let's see. In now deleted tweets, Sydney mayor compares strict new lockdown laws to Hitler-era regime. A Serbian hermit who urged people to get vaccinated says he received gifts from fawning media and one expired dose. Don't do these people's dirty work. Like I was talking about, life can be simple. You know, don't do these people's dirty work. don't do any dirty work. Oh. The gas that the Hindenburg used to float, wasn't that just helium? Or was that, no, that was hydrogen. But was it blue hydrogen? I have no idea. So, in the case of blimps, I would say it's probably not a good idea. Let's see. 6.9 magnitude earthquake strikes Alaska, which is another thing that I didn't even bring up, which is another kind of a crazy situation. The amount of earthquakes and the severity of the earthquakes, that's pretty eye-opening. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on in the near future. You know, keep an eye on that. It's crazy. Haiti, the death toll just keeps going nuts, going up, 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 up. We'll be covering that here in a moment. China to host world's 2 largest IPOs of the year. Las Vegas landlord accused of killing 2 tenants handled eviction his way, the DA says. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that stuff like that is happening, but it's, in a sense, it's inevitable. And I'm not saying that, you know, people just want to be evil, but you have to understand, and I don't know this man's situation or anything like that, but there are a lot of individuals that are small, you know, I'm trying to think of the proper word, you know, small landlords, rental management, whatever you want to call it, but they're not big. And so things like this eviction moratorium and stuff like that, you know, I'm sure it's probably put some under. But others, I'm sure, you know, have been able to just get by. But this going on and on and on and continuing to go on, they can't do it. They can't sustain it. And so you're going to probably, unfortunately, see a lot of ugly incidents, probably in the not-so-far future, as these moratoriums and stuff go away. So we'll see. There's still a bunch of battling going on with that as well. Haiti hit with powerful 7.2 quake minutes after Alaska tremor. Russia bare-knuckle ultra-discounter Mir looks to conquer U.S. market. So I'm guessing that they it's like a grocery store if I'm correct, if I recall correctly. And so they're planning on, I guess, opening up stores here, which I really have mixed emotions on stuff like that. We need U.S.-based businesses building here, not foreign interests building businesses here. But we've got some relatively decent supermarkets that are foreign-owned. You know, the Kroger and Kroger affiliates, rulers, and stuff like that. That's not U.S. What is that? Is that German, I think? And then, of course, Aldi. And I believe that's German, right? Yeah, that one I know is German. I think Kroger might be German, too, but I'm not positive. I think Jen's Googling. Let's see. Russian firefighting plane crashes in Turkey. Everyone on board killed. And that I had brought up earlier. There's going to be another headline or two on that. Russia, one of EU's top 3 exporters, says Eurostat. Oh, I stand corrected. I guess Kroger is a U.S. company. Why did I think that was foreign? I don't know why I thought that was foreign, but I'm mistaken. I apologize. Cincinnati, Ohio, Jen said, is where that was founded. So, sorry. Let's see. Protesters pour into Paris as resistance to Macron's health pass spawns array of unauthorized street cafes. So, you know, they're, in my opinion, kind of finding some creative ways, and I expect the American people to do the same. Okay, want to make sure I didn't miss one. Ukrainian nationalists clash with police during anti-government rally outside President Zelensky's office in Kiev. First videos show widespread destruction, after Haiti earthquake. And it's still obviously on yesterday's news. Let's see. She's bleeding. The camera's on. Horrifying details emerge of U.S. mom shot and killed by toddler during Zoom call with colleagues. That's crazy. Kind of reminds me of something. I don't know if I put any headlines out on it. I probably didn't, because it's kind of a more local. But there's I still haven't figured out or know if anybody will ever figure out the motive of this guy. 18, right? I think 18. 18 or 21, something like that. He was young. Apparently, killed a young woman. Can't remember her age off the top of my head. I want to say his 20s for sure, early 20s, I think. And shot her and killed her. And then 12 hours later, I guess went to his neighbor. I mean, lived upstairs from him, and bound her 27-year-old woman and her 8-year-old daughter to a bed and shot them. And I really firmly believe that if they would have figured out a motive by now, that they would have said. That's the concerning thing to me. That's the bothersome thing to me, is they don't, to my knowledge, have any kind of a motive. Not that excuses the crime or anything like that, but that's concerning. When people completely without motive would carry out an act like that, to the point of tying somebody before doing so. That is, when I first saw the headline, I said to Jen, just the opposite. I said, that's a targeted, that's targeted. That's somebody that had a serious issue with that person. And that's what I said to Jen. Right when I read the headline. And apparently it's not the case whatsoever. So I don't know. There could have been underlying things, being that he was a neighbor or something like that. I have no idea. Didn't say anything about any type of abuse of any nature without directly going there. Didn't say anything of that sort. So, again, motive. At least 29 dead in devastating Haiti earthquake, says authorities. Taliban captures Mazar-e-Sharif, and I know I got that wrong, last major government stronghold in Afghanistan's north. Again, this is yesterday. At least 227 dead, hundreds injured and missing in devastating Haiti earthquake, and of course this is yesterday's numbers. Biden orders increase in U.S. presence in Afghanistan as he threatens Taliban with strong military response if interests attack. And again, this is yesterday's headlines, because I'm pretty sure tucking your tail and running is not a strong military response. But it might be for the Biden administration. I'm just saying. Weaponizing its terms of service, Facebook forced shutdown of project monitoring Instagram's algorithm, a German researcher says. Israel furious after Poland's president approves law denying victims of Holocaust property claims. Taliban Air Force clear for takeoff. Militants show off captured aircraft as fighting approaches Kabul outskirts. Again, yesterday's headlines, because, not fair. The Taliban gets choppers and Humvees and all that. Biden gets F-15s and nukes. Hell, I didn't even take a stimulus check. I want at least a, I don't know. I'll settle for one F-22 and call it even. COVID cases surge on Martha's Vineyard, but officials say it's too early to blame Obama's birthday celebration. Right. That goes along with the other news that I heard that apparently Lollapalooza was not a super spreader event. The only ones that are falling for it are the ones that are scared to death. And the only ones that are scared to death are the ones that aren't truly educated on what's going on. That's just a fact. That is just a fact. Why would I say that? Why would I possibly say that? Well, I'm going to show you why I said that. I shared it out. Oh, wait. I shared it out. Never mind. We'll get there when we get there. Ivory Coast declares Ebola outbreak after first case in 25 years reported in de facto capital Abidjan. Yeah, something like that. Prompting immense concern. MSNBC's Joy Reid rifles up conservatives after she claims U.S. religious right dreams of Taliban like theocracy. It's ridiculous. The posturing, the pushing to the sides of the extreme that's going on. I mean, it's ridiculous. And what gets me is just the average everyday Joe, like you and I, just want to be left alone. We just want to be left alone. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. New York tour bus veers off interstate and rolls over, leaving more than 50 people injured. I would say they're lucky that it wasn't worse than that. Legendary test pilot killed in Russian firefighting plane crash in Turkey. That's what I was telling you about. At least 20 killed after fuel tanker explodes in northern Lebanon, sparking fire. Still on yesterday's news, or was on yesterday's news. Now we're to today. So, speaking of that, let me have a sip of tea, couple of vapes. We're on the home stretch. And yeah, there has been a lot of headlines. You know, the frequency and severity, I would say you can expect that to increase over the coming week. I don't know that there's going to be much letting up over the coming weeks. So, get your boots oiled. Let's see. Steve says the topic of conversation at the Obama bash, they were wondering what the poor people were doing that night. Same thing I do every night. What's that, Pinky? I'm kidding. I'm talking about Pinky in the Brain. I can't recite it. I never really watched it, but I always thought that was funny. Let's see. One person stabbed as medical freedom rally clashes with counter-protesters outside LA City Hall. So, I think you're going to see a lot of this stuff popping up. I know that there are tons of videos popping up and being deleted just as quickly as they can pop up of different people speaking out at school board meetings. And, you know, some of those school board meetings are starting to get pretty dicey. There was one where, you know, there were some pretty serious threats flying and whatnot. And there have been all over, and this is happening all over. I think Tim Pool put out a video, I don't know if it was Friday possibly, or maybe Thursday. One of the two put out a video talking about it, and he showed tons and tons of examples of around the country where things were happening that aren't being reported on a national level. Of course, they're trying to stifle all of this, but believe me, it is happening a lot across the nation. So a lot more than what you're hearing about. Like I say, Tim's got a lot of examples. You can watch his video and see them. I didn't pull them all up or go searching, to be honest. But I know it's happening all over. So remember that. You're not alone. Oh, you are not alone. You are far, very far from alone. Don't expect to be able to confirm that on social media for much longer, because I have a feeling that if they hadn't already, they're getting ready to start kicking those algorithms in high gear. And regardless of how much people are, saying it, you won't see it. And it won't be that it disappears. It'll probably just be ghosted. So, just saying, be prepared for that. Don't think that people lost interest, okay? It's not that. 5.8 magnitude tremor rocks Haiti as it reels from devastating quake that killed over 300. And again, those numbers are going to update. India's fuel demand highest since April amid easing of local COVID-19 restrictions. As COVID-19 variants seem to get the upper hand in the race against vaccines, two top scientists explain where the world went wrong. Listening to Fauci is one. Taliban take Jalalabad without a fight, leaving Afghan government encircled in Kabul. Apparently, Blue didn't like the Fauci remark. Taliban in talks with Afghan government over peaceful surrender after launching offensive on capital Kabul. Russian cosmetics giant Natura Siberica bubbles over into civil war as staff rebel against raider takeover after the founder dies. We caught all that. Brazil gold reserves surge nearly 100% in 3 months as central bank doubles purchases, says reports. Russia may ban petrol exports if domestic prices keep rising, says former energy minister. Another headline to kind of tuck in the back of your head, because the more players that pull out, prices will probably go up. So, I don't know. Seems like certain policies and stuff that were changed when this administration took office. It's leading to some issues, and it's going to lead to much bigger issues if these other nations do stop exporting oil, because you have to understand, it's not just, not to say we don't get oil from Russia, because to my knowledge we do, but if Russia stops exporting oil, we weren't the only ones buying oil from Russia. Many other countries were too. So now those countries have to go other places to get the oil. You see the whole supply-demand thing? And you'll see fuel prices go through the roof in a heartbeat. So, any one of these major players in the energy market, if they drop out of the energy market, expect prices to skyrocket, even if it's for a temporary time, because, they're obviously not even producing remotely what they can, all the different nations in like OPEC Plus, because even at this point, they're really, really scaled back. So, in fact, Biden is wanting them to open the coffers more to get the oil prices down to fix what he screwed up. Taliban vows to respect rights of Afghan. And by the way, if you've been tracking along, I rarely ever blame the president for the gas prices, because a lot of times it's just a bunch of talking points. It's not this time. Taliban vows to respect rights of Afghan women and will allow access to work and education, provide provided hijabs are worn, and that's what I was talking about. So, yeah, I don't, don't know. I really do. I hope so. I hope so. President Ghani leaves Afghanistan. Top official confirms his U.S.-backed government relinquishes power to Taliban. So that's what I was telling you about. That whole situation was going to update quickly. By cracking down on COVID-19 protesters at home, the West has lost all credibility in preaching about human rights to Russia. Manifestly not Saigon, watch U.S. helicopters evacuate Kabul embassy as Blinken defiantly rejects Vietnam pullout comparisons. The global auto market keeps shrinking as vehicle sales drop due to a chip shortage in COVID Delta variant. Taliban's takeover of Kabul prompts UK's Johnson to convene urgent Cobra meeting and ask Parliament to end summer holiday. Haiti earthquake death toll jumps to 724 people as storm expected to hit devastated Caribbean country. And we're going to get updated numbers from here, unfortunately. And I'm sure we've got plenty more, unfortunately, numbers to be updated in the near term. So, devastating. Taliban enter presidential palace in Kabul after Afghan president leaves country, says no transitional government on the table. U.S. Embassy warns Americans in Kabul to take shelter, says airport reportedly under fire amid hasty evacuation of Western missions. Mass brawl breaks out in the stands as fans erupt in NFL preseason game. And I did debate on sharing that one, but I think it's kind of, I mean, this is not anything real super far from the norm, but I went ahead and shared it because I think you're going to see it much more than the norm. Dominic Raab was on holiday as Taliban encircled Afghan capital. How convenient, huh? While UK ambassador said to be remaining in Kabul. Nurse shortage at Houston hospitals has reached a breaking point as patients wait hours for care. Well, might not be such an issue if you weren't discontinuing the employment of anybody that doesn't want to turn out their lamp. Afghanistan's Ghani claims he resigned to prevent Taliban slaughter in Kabul as blasts reported at palace and abandoned U.S. embassy. Israeli PM stirs online outrage after saying elderly are in mortal danger if they don't get third COVID-19 vaccine shot. That's the video there that I shared out on Twitter from Patriot Nurse. Canada's Trudeau calls snap election for September, seeking majority control of Parliament to push through Liberal Party bills. Taliban spokesman says Afghan war is over. Militants convinced foreign forces won't repeat failed experience in Afghanistan. I told you about this article. Traffic jams and chaos at Kabul airport as thousands try to flee Taliban takeover. Haiti quake death toll shoots to 1,297 as hospitals overwhelmed with some 5,700 injured. Trump decries one of the greatest defeats in American history amid Afghan collapse and calls for Biden to resign in disgrace. Then we just got Kamala. I mean, that's... Would you prefer to chop your left hand off or your right hand? I mean, that's... U.S. to boost Afghanistan presence to 6,000 troops as it's taking steps to secure Kabul airport amid mass evacuation. I would have preferred they had been ready. I don't know. From my understanding, they're going about this, or had gone about this, entirely the wrong way. But Let's see this headline here. Pathetic blame shifting. Pompeo blasts Biden for failed withdrawal from Afghanistan and faulting Trump for Taliban takeover. Why were we there to begin with? And why can't we know anything about Saudi Arabia's connection to 9/11? Why can't we talk about that? Crazy. Anyway, that's the headlines. That's what I've got for you. I'm sure we're going to have plenty more for the week to come. So, hang in there. Just keep getting prepared. Keep focused. And keep well. With that, God willing, we will see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. Shalom.